It's time for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, the show that helps you be prepared to care for your family regardless of the circumstances that may come your way. Now, here's your host for today, Mark Lamb.
Well, once again, Janet Rose doing a fine job introducing Glenn Boblitz and me. Thank you, Janet. Glenn, we're here again, and I'm always curious on what our topic is. You kind of let me know coming down the hall to the studio here. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about losing our minds, and that's a believable subject. Looking around at the news today, but
well, my dad, I used to say, "Dad, where are you going?" He goes, "Going crazy. Want to come along?"
Too late. Losing our minds is not what you think, though it could be for some. That's okay. Well, that's another subject for politics. Not remembering how to do things that were so simple. I'm going to ask you a question. What's your wife's phone number? I want you to rattle the numbers off.
I actually know her number.
Okay. What about half a dozen of your friends? You can't do it.
I can call my brother's house. I cannot call his cell phone because I do not know his cell phone number. It's in my phone.
I can remember as a kid, our dial-up phone. Mm-hmm. I can still remember it, 357-8285. Mm-hmm. That was our number. And I had all these friends' numbers in my head, and my aunts and that kind of stuff. But then the phones came, the cell phone, and it'll say WF. Well, who is WF? Well, that's my friend so-and-so. Mm-hmm. And you push the little icon for him. But there's no number there.
Right.
So you're not remembering it.
Right, his picture shows up.
Right,
you don't see his
well,
number.
what if you leave your phone at home and riding around with your buddy and go, I need to call so-and-so.
Right.
Let me use your phone. You can't do it because the contacts aren't in there. You can't remember what that number is. That's kind of scary.
It is scary.
What if you lose your phone?
Yeah.
You've lost a lot of information.
You sure have.
So, that's what I'm saying. We're losing our mind because we've pretty much put our brains into that phone and let the phone do all the work. And we depend so much on it, we don't even think about it until you need it.
Right.
That makes us vulnerable in a lot of different ways, not just because you don't know how to make a phone call to someone that may be really important. Thank God we all can remember 911. That's all I'm saying. But we transferred all these little things that we used to remember, like, how to get to so-and-so's house. We don't do that no more.
Right.
I've been to some friend's house a couple times, new people I've met, and I go, I can't remember how I got there. Mm-hmm. Because all I got to do is type in his address and MapQuest.
Heck, you don't even have to do that now. They text it to you, and you either copy or some of the text will even, it recognizes that it's an address. You just touch it, and it takes you to Google Maps.
And bam, you're on your way.
And it's all in the name of convenience.
Right. But it makes us vulnerable.
Yeah.
Do you have a map? You have the old Atlas map, it was big as crap. Or worse, a fold-out map.
Yeah.
No one can remember how to fold it back and start with. So it gets kind of beat up kind of quick. But, an Atlas map of several states wide or even the U.S. Atlas map that weighs about 18 pounds, won't fit nowhere but in the trunk.
Yeah.
But do you have one?
I did. I don't know if I still do because it got so tattered in the back.
I would bet 90% of the people today couldn't even read it if they did. They couldn't take that map and use it because they don't know which way is up and down on the map because they're facing south, headed to Florida, but now they got to turn the map upside down and can't read anything.
Yeah.
But they can't change it in their head.
Right.
My ex was that bad too, but I won't go there. But I'm just saying that we're out of practice with that.
Sure.
And that's something that you really should have. And it's just another vulnerability that has come to pass just because we've lived in this convenient world. The words of an 80-year-old woman from Australia still haunt me today. Been about 10, 12 years ago. I asked her what she thought about Americans, and she said, we were fat, lazy, and arrogant. Oh, that just ticked me off for about 3 seconds, and I'm going, yeah, that's pretty much right.
Yeah.
But that's not me. We've become pretty lazy. We've lost a lot of good skills that we should probably think about getting back. All these conversations that you having on your phone are recorded. All your texts are recorded. Now, we don't want to believe that, but they are.
Right. And
if there is something that is intrusive in your life, that's got to be it.
right.
What I say to my friends and family ain't none of your darn business.
Yeah.
Now, they claim it to be keep the country safe. Well, they're doing a terrible job then. Yeah, that's just another red flag we can throw up in there.
And it's not like, they're not going to access that information until you do something or say something wrong in public. And then they're going to dig. And AI.
Yeah, they're not going to do it until they need it.
Right. They're not going to do it until
it's not somebody
they need it.
standing over watching every word you type.
Right.
That's not how it works. I watched a program exactly how that does work, and it's pretty scary. Certain words will red flag you.
Yes.
And, it's kind of like Hoover did. He had that secret file on everybody.
Good old J. Edgar.
Yeah. I mean, he was a little crazy.
Yeah.
But he kept his finger on the pulse of this nation, even if he wasn't supposed to.
Right. And he leveraged that.
If there was no reason to.
Right.
He said, one day I may need that guy. So you can tell that there's some darkness to our country. I don't think we have this halo around us.
No.
Even though the Lord's trying to get one there. 24-hour tracking and monitoring. Everybody knows that if you have your phone, not even if, you're going to have that phone. They can find exactly where you are by your phone. Is your phone off? Oh, well, my phone's off. They can't do it. That's not true. It's always pinging.
I was going to say pinging, yeah.
And if it's pinging, they can ping back and turn it right back on. If you don't believe that, you're fooling yourself. I don't like all those intrusive things in my home,
Right.
in my phone, but there ain't a darn thing to do about it because it's the industry standard. Your TV's got a camera on it. If you bought a TV in the past 7-8 years, there's a camera there. Mine's got a piece of tape over it. I had to hunt for it to find it.
Wow.
But there it is, big as a grain of rice, and there it was. You don't need to be seeing in my living room.
Right.
So tape your monitor on your computer. All of them have it. And they don't try to hide that one.
Right.
And it's for people who do podcasts and that kind of thing. I understand that. But I don't want them having that either. So if I put a piece of tape over it, it ain't none of the business what I'm doing in my office.
Right.
For all kinds of legal reasons now, not
Right.
nothing
You're
nefarious.
doing anything nefarious.
Other
But,
than a couple glasses of wine,
Right.
you find that, just ask me, I'll give you a glass. And I think the worst on our phone is the social media crap.
yes. Man.
If you go on, I don't even want to say their names, you go on any of the big social medias and you start scrolling through, because it's kind of like entertainment for most people.
It is.
And you're on there
I
for
get
hours.
sucked into it.
Okay,
You
well, there's something going on you probably don't know, and that's a psychological operation. It's all run by an algorithm. What you stare at for more than a second, that algorithm picks up and will give you another one. So it's feeding you. It's like an alcoholic,
Yeah.
If you're into the sniper headshots from wherever war, it'll feed you them things all day long.
I did a thing on 9/11 in my YouTube because there was something that had popped up, and I mean, boom! The last week I've been getting 9/11, Twin Towers videos sent to me.
All right. Not only do these things have cameras and watching you, they have speakers and microphones that listen to you. Alexis is a perfect example.
Right. Well, it has to be listening because when you blurt her name out, she's Johnny on the spot or Alexa on the spot.
Yeah. So if all this stuff is watching and listening to you, that sounds conspiratorial. Mm-hmm. Well, of course it does. But you could be talking about going on vacation somewhere, and on your computer, it'll pop up an advertisement for some vacation package. Wakey.
Yeah, that happened to us like 5 years ago.
It happens all the time and gets plugged into that algorithm.
Did you put something on, did you look something up? Because I just got a notification on my feed.
Yes. How to plant carrots, I could be talking to my wife about, we think about planting some carrots. And sure enough, it'll come up and 7 varieties of carrot seeds will show up on my computer. Okay, well, somebody's listening.
Right.
So I just read a couple of articles about this stuff. The kind of psyops are going up. They figured this stuff out. Mm-hmm. Now there's a problem because then if they can prove that this stuff actually can make you change your mind to do a voting in a certain way,
mm-hmm.
you're being programmed.
Right.
Let's face it, folks, you're being programmed. That they had a 20% swing by using psyops just on political stuff alone.
Wow.
And they know that because you look up what you're interested in.
Yeah.
You look up what you like. Well, they can do this and have a 20% swing from what you used to look at. That's a lot of control.
Absolutely.
How much is a 20% swing worth in an election?
Oh, it's make the difference.
It made a difference. You won the election. If you can do a 20-point swing,
mm-hmm.
well, that's what they do. That's what they're doing. And it ought to be illegal. It truly ought to be. But I wouldn't know how they would stop it.
Mm-hmm.
So have we gone too far down that path? Well, the only way to stop it is for you to quit looking at it.
Right.
Or you can throw them a zinger and look up toe fungus once a week. That'll keep them busy.
Well, I will tell you this. I've done this as an experiment on Facebook. I looked up, I wanted it to, quit showing me that over there. I'm done with that. And I did like 2 searches for something else. And I'll be darned if it didn't change the algorithm that this started popping up then.
Right.
So, yeah.
You used to be able to go through and say, I'm not interested in this kind of stuff. Don't show it to me anymore.
Right.
That feature's still there, but it means nothing.
Right.
It's whatever they want you to look at is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I'm afraid it's mostly
ingenious
political.
To think that, it all started, this data mining started not, I don't think, for government nefarious reasons. It started for marketing.
Oh, absolutely.
I can have you look at refrigerators, and if you buy our package, I'm gonna tell 10% of America to look at refrigerators when they do this search.
Yes.
If you pay me, I will do that, and that's how Facebook made all this money, is through data information. Not that they were selling a bunch of ads; they were doing that too. But yeah.
And they resell the same information. You can actually go into somebody's website and said, I want these kind of customers, and they will direct these kind of customers to you.
Your way, right.
Then you got a list of names, it's all about the names and the kind of stuff that this person is into. Mm-hmm. And you can resell that. You just resell your list.
Mm-hmm.
Put it right back out and it gets resold.
Yep.
So it's following the money, yes,
mm-hmm.
but it's following something far nefarious than just money.
Yeah.
It's power.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
And the only way you're going to do that is kind of disconnect yourself from some of this stuff. And
I think I've said this on the show, Glenn. I've had conversations 10 years ago as this stuff was all starting to ramp up, and you read a few articles to see where it's going. And I said, and this is a guy was studying philosophy, And I said, for his PhD, I said, do you see a time where we're going to have to disengage from technology if it gets out of control like we think where it's going? And we had no idea where we would be today. And he said, yes.
Yeah, today. It's pretty ugly. We know it is. But as long as you know, then it's kind of choices, folks.
Right.
So
True.
that's up to you, and I'm not going to tell you what to do one way or another. We've lost a lot of skills to technology, as we were talking about.
Yeah.
We've lost a lot of skills to big box corporations. We've lost a lot of just daily function that we've given over to big box because it's more convenient.
Right.
We've given things over to governmental control that are critical to your life, but you said, well, it's easier that way. And sometimes they don't give you a choice. One example is just water. Back when I was a kid, no one had town water where I was because we were kind of rural area. But as the water department started moving out of town, out of Baltimore towards the little towns and stuff, if they brought the water through your community, you had to attach to it.
Okay.
They condemned your well. Nothing wrong with that well.
Wow.
And now you're paying them for water that is life-sustaining. So think about that. They took away life-sustaining water and gave you this chemical-laden water,
Right.
which is a whole nother subject,
Right. Sure.
and charged you exorbitant rates. Now, when you used the water and you flushed the toilet, you took a bath, you dumped out the dishwater, they charged you to haul the wastewater away also.
Right.
So it's water and sewer. I'm thinking, you people have just got it coming and going,
Yeah.
and there's no control over the pricing.
Right. Yeah. There's no.
I mean, water bill is no joke.
And
And it's something critical. You can't say, I don't want water.
Yeah.
Take your water, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back on my well. That is illegal. They've made it so you cannot do that. They make you unhook your well. Some people make you fill your well, some townships. Wow. Now, you're an idiot if you fill your well in.
Does that remind you of something? Remember Cash for Clunkers?
Oh, yeah.
Perfectly good vehicles. They poured that stuff down the carburetors or the injectors to seize the engine.
Yep.
And then it cost, what was it, $20,000 to $40,000 per car in that program. It cost taxpayers.
I wonder who got that money. Yeah. You could throw rocks at all these government programs that you look at them and you go, this is absolute stupidity.
Yeah.
But there's another disconnect. We have no disconnect with our elected officials. I mean, I've tried to burn the phones up to try to get a hold of them over something that I needed to talk to them about. Not one time have I ever talked to the person I was trying to get a hold of. I've got a hold of assistants and some little secretary, and we'll pass that information along. I'm not asking you to pass the information. I want to talk to the guy.
Yeah.
I elected him. He's my official. I want to talk to him. Nope.
Right.
Well, there's something wrong there, folks. Something seriously wrong.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, do I got to go get a lawyer?
Is it still called representation? I'm just curious. Did they drop that part?
Sounds like it, doesn't it? Jeez. All right. So we've all been kind of disconnected from all these things.
Yeah.
Our global food supply, it used to be within your state, within your nation, is where our food came from. Now it's coming from all over the world.
Right.
And it's not in the best shape by the time it gets here.
Well, how else do you expect to get watermelons in December? It comes from Brazil.
Yeah.
It's on the other side of the equator.
You got to remember, folks, once you get outside the United States, they don't have all the laws and protections and things. They just grow it for profit.
Right.
And that's why a lot of these growers go into Brazil, because there is no EPA there.
Right.
They don't care what you dump on it, when you dump on it, and how much you spread. And as long as it's shiny and packaged properly, it'll come right into your local big box store.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an issue. Our medicines, 90%, and this is going on today.
Yeah.
90% of our medicines are coming out of China. Oh my gosh, that's a mistake.
And can we address that just for a second? What you say is correct. Also, if anything is put together in the States, all the compounds are coming from China.
Right.
So we may assemble some of those drugs, but all the compounds are coming from China.
Right.
And it's like, are you kidding me? I know some things have been done. We're trying, but this is a slow boat to turn. It's not, we're headed towards the iceberg.
Yeah. I don't think we can fix that as fast as what we think we can.
Right.
So it's not just the machinery that makes the pill.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to say making medicines. That's what people think of. Well, we'll buy new machines.
Right.
Well, that's not the issue.
Right.
It's all the compounds and things that it takes to make that medicine.
Right.
Anyway, and the laboratories that you,
Sure.
there's a lot to that.
Mm-hmm.
Healthcare itself.
Yeah.
Now, I know your wife is in the healthcare
Right.
industry.
Mm-hmm.
We've disconnected from the doctor. When I used to go to the doctor, it was quite often from crashing my bicycle or later on in life woodworking. There was cuts and bruises and breaks, and you'd walk into his office and old doc friend says, "You again?" He knew you by name. And
Oh, yeah.
He knew your history.
Dr. Benchoff was the doctor that came when I was a child in Pennsylvania. And Benchoff at that time was probably 70. But he was this little old man with Pennsylvania wearing a long jacket because of the weather. And his little,
Little black bag.
His little bag. And just a sweet old man,
Yeah.
But
that was Doc France.
Yeah.
He wasn't a small man, but and he was a World War II vet,
Yeah.
and he was super smart and
Sure.
knew a lot of stuff. And he had to come to the house a couple times.
Yeah.
But that's gone,
Yep.
and that is so far gone.
Yeah.
House calls, that went out 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But just the doctors are not there to treat you.
Right.
They are there to get you on some type of medication that will
Wait a minute.
mask your symptoms.
Was that a smash up medication?
Medication.
They're giving you an education in medicine because I said this to my wife the other day, and she said, "Now, honey," I said, "I'm sorry. They wine and dine all these people. If they're not getting a kickback for the drugs they're pushing, statins and all that kind of
Right.
stuff, they get wined and dined by the pharmaceutical companies."
Well, they have their conferences in the best of places, like
and they're paid
Hawaii.
for, right?
Yeah.
By the pharmaceutical. Now,
that
granted,
is
they're
nothing. That's pennies on the dollar.
right.
To fly all these surgeons to Honolulu
Right.
for a week
Yeah.
and wine and dine them and have their little conferences and
Yeah.
and it's a hoot. And guess what? You can bring your families.
Right.
What kind of incentive do you need to say no to that?
And let me, in my wife's defense, she doesn't push. She wants to use medication as a last resort,
Right.
because of the area she's in now. She's trying to help with behavior.
Right.
And there are, because she's in bariatrics now, there are some drugs that help suppress your appetite, obviously. They're all over television right now. But we still aren't going to know for 10, 15 years what those long-term effects are for Wegovy and all these other ones that you see.
There is so many different kinds of pills out there, and they have no idea. And it's gotten better, don't get me wrong. And,
Right.
and I don't mean to bash the entire medical
right.
industry here. I'm just saying, I don't hear anybody saying, I had a good experience at the hospital.
Yeah.
You go in for surgery now, open heart surgery, in a day and a half. If you didn't die in the bed, they go send you home that night. Oh, you'll heal much better at night. That's because they want another person in there that they can make another $100,000 on another surgery. It's just economics.
Yeah.
And I understand that they got a bean counter that's running these giant corporations.
Mm-hmm.
But what about us?
Right.
Where's the quality that we paid for?
Yeah.
You're only there because of the education system the taxpayers paid for, all of the above, and you treat us worse than cattle.
Right.
It's just a bad disconnect.
Yeah.
I've gotten into the herbal side of things. We've got some really good people in our little group, and I tend not to want to ever go back to the doctors.
Right.
If I can't say, okay, this is a high possibility that it's in my diet, or I need to add this to my diet, because it's all about nutrition, really, and what you shouldn't and shouldn't put in your body.
Well, we talked about books last week.
Right.
Hold on to these books, because if the digital, something happens to the system, which is, not being far-fetched, folks, essential oils. My wife's got and she believes in essential oils. She's got a book that's a 1-inch thick, big book too. It symptoms. We'll go and see what essential oil will help with that symptom.
Sure.
And it's a lot more healthy. No side effects, typically.
The thing about the herbals that I found, and we'll get off track here a little bit, is it's not the instant relief. It is more fixing the problem than it is masking and just killing the pain.
Right.
Now, there are herbal things that will absolutely kill the pain quick. Wild lettuce is one of them.
Right.
So there is some of them that are fast-acting, but not as much as, some of these potent pills or opioids.
Right.
Well, you could go on and on about just medical and medicines, but I'm just saying we really don't have a good rapport with doctors, like we don't have a good rapport with our representatives,
Right.
with our local governments. It's just they've disconnected us from all that. The knowledge itself that you need to just function every day. Things come up. I need to know this.
Right.
You could look in one of your old books and go, oh, here it is. We just Google it, and that's where our brain is. That's where the knowledge is kept nowadays. That's a foolish thing, because again, you lose that phone, whether you lose it in the parking lot somewhere,
Or the toilet.
or the toilet. Things happen.
Been happening.
Or they turn it off.
Right.
That makes us so vulnerable. I keep going back to this. It's the vulnerabilities that I'm talking about here,
Right.
folks. You are so vulnerable just with your phone alone that you've handed over all that knowledge.
Right.
And everything you need to have to function is in that darn phone with no other way to communicate. Well, be my suggestion that you have a backup plan for communicating if they do decide to turn it off, or it gets turned off, or
Right.
something happens, a natural disaster, natural or man-made, I don't care what it
Right.
is.
Sure.
If that phone goes down, you are extremely vulnerable.
Right.
So try to make a plan to get out of that. Some people get on this phone for the news. They get it through social media. Do you think everything you read on the internet is true? Probably not.
Right.
Dang sure not.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can't, just because a guy is on your side and he's ranting and raving about some issue of the day, it may not necessarily be true. He may be just angry.
Right.
But there is no news that you could turn on at 5 o'clock when you get home from work and go, let's see what's happening in the world. No, it's all opinion. It's all gaslighting. Yeah. There's really no information there. What if? What if he did this? I don't give a crap what if. I want to know, did he?
Yeah.
Did she do these things? And if she did, and did a good job, give her praise. If not, send her to jail.
Right.
Lock her up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ever heard that term?
I have just a couple times.
Lock her up. Lock her up. All right, so where are you getting your news from? Well, if you're smart and you're using your phone wisely, you'll find people that do have these podcasts, and you can get good information. Now, some people love Glenn Beck. Some people can't stand the man. That's up to you.
Yeah.
But my point is, you find people that are consistent,
Yeah.
not emotional. They just try to tell you a lot of facts.
Right.
Now, it's one thing for, somebody to get worked up in a podcast over just plain insanity.
Right.
That's different. But you got to hunt. I mean, dig to find the news
Right.
that may be truthful. Shouldn't be like that. Should not be like that. The rumor mill, there's information put out in these news broadcasts and the mega medias that we know is false narrative. I think there's a little stuff going on right now about that, and Russia hoax and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well,
how dare they do that? Well,
Right.
it's all about politics to them.
right.
They're just playing the war game, and that's where our country is at now, and it's splits in half,
Yes, it does.
and that's a bad thing.
It is.
So
a bad thing.
I'm just telling you, people, one side's just as bad as the other. You could throw rocks at either party and hit a crook.
Oh yeah.
That's fact.
Yeah, it wouldn't take much effort.
Now there are some good peoples on both sides. I'm not. I don't want to hear about you bashing the Democrats. No, I bash the Republicans just as much if they deserve bashing.
Right. Right.
That's the point.
Yeah.
But it's tearing the country apart, and it shouldn't be. But it goes back to the algorithms. They're making sure that we stay at odds.
Yeah.
Don't participate in their stupidity is my
Right.
point here.
Let's take a break here real
Yep.
quick, Glenn. I want to address that specific because there's some.
Oh, here we go.
Well, there's some friends that I've had to put on pause. Let's use that term.
Yeah.
On Facebook, because I use Facebook for a lot of different things. I love Marketplace to buy and sell things, but I've got some people that I care about that have jumped the shark, as they say. Let's address that when it's getting to be too much. What you yourself might need is a little bit of a break, and we're going to take one right now. We're with Glenn Ballblitz from Sustainable Living Made Easy, and we're talking about what would happen if the technology it went away because of a disaster, or it got taken away from us, which is a real possibility. We'll be back.
Get ready for a new soundtrack for your life. Doc Rock, Smith Mountain Lake. It's music that'll take away your troubles for a while.
That's what I'm talking about!
Wake up with Janet and Mark on the Morning Jam. They'll keep you informed and encouraged, and we all need more of that.
You say jam?
You're invited to be a part of the Doc Rock family, your feel-good station. Doc Rock, Smith Mountain Lake.
We're back with more Sustainable Living with Glenn Ballblitz. Be sure to look for Sustainable Living on Facebook for even more information and follow-up conversations with other members. Now, here's your host, Mark Lamb.
So, Glenn, I have some friends, as I stated before the break, that they're, I care about them because I care about people, especially people that I've known for a long time. And I know politically we don't align with them, and that's fine. I'm not one of those people that's, our friendship is over. Now, if we're friends on Facebook and your thread pops up with just some total insanity, I may put you on hold for a month, and I think, you can still do that on Facebook.
Right.
You can quiet their thread down or whatever it is, and they won't know that it's happened.
Send
or
them the
whatever.
correct emoji and quiet and just
Right.
delete them for a month.
Because you can get worked up, and we don't want to be worked up, because what happens when you get worked up is you tend to make some bad choices, possibly, say some things you're probably going to regret.
Absolutely.
The old water off a duck's back. So, but let's talk about that for a second.
Well, were those people that were your friends always like this?
Oh, that's a good question. Some of them. Okay, I'm going to answer your question.
Well, you just did that.
And I'm pointing at them if you don't know it, people. I'm going to answer your question. I did not know these people were this way until Trump was elected the first time.
Then something changed.
Yes.
Something changed them
Yeah.
on their own, or were they algorithm?
They were influenced.
They were
Yes.
influenced.
Yes.
That's why they call these people influencers.
True.
It's
Great
it's
point.
it's a psychological operation.
Mm-hmm.
They know what works that person up because they've read their text.
Right.
Not a person, AI.
Yeah.
And it can be done very simply. You just you put out a false narrative to this person, or an insinuation,
Yeah.
and now they're even more mad. Yeah. And all of a sudden, they've taken this harsh stance against one side or the other.
Right.
And that person has changed. You can't even talk to them anymore about this stuff.
Right.
Because they get so worked up because it's there every day in their face on their phone.
Right. And they're choosing to stay in it.
They don't know that they're being programmed the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like going by a dog and smacking him with a stick every day.
Mm.
You know, that dog is going to stay ticked off at you every time you come around. One day you walk by without the stick and the dog eats you up and you go, wonder why that happened. Well, you programmed that dog not to like you. That's what these algorithms are doing to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
They're programming one race against another,
Right.
one religion against another, one political side against another. Do not fall into this. You're being manipulated,
Right.
influenced.
Yeah.
It's not you anymore because they've changed your mind. This is psychological warfare, folks. If you think it's not you, you're being fooled.
Yeah.
You need to disconnect, and you know, you need some safe time.
Yeah.
Get with your real friends. Get with your real community. Get with like-minded
And
people
don't sit
that
there
don't want to engage in the turmoil.
Right. Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is find people that aren't going to bring this silly stuff up.
So what are your priorities here? You know, it used to be that you just wanted peace in your house, you know. Now people just want to fight. That's a big swing.
It sure is.
Well, someone's caused that.
Sure.
And if you stay engaged in it, and if you think it hasn't influenced you, you better look at the rest of the world too. The whole darn world's fighting.
Yeah.
Now I wonder what happened. Google and their algorithms, YouTube and their algorithm. You don't think that these other countries don't have phones? I mean, you can go to an African country in the middle of Uganda,
Right.
and a guy on the street, a street
smartphone.
vendor,
Right.
has got a smartphone in one hand and a clay pot in the other.
Right. Right.
Wakey here, folks.
Yeah.
It's a form of control. I get that. It probably didn't start out that way for us, but they probably knew it all along, or it wouldn't have been so cheap to get.
Right.
That's kind of how the militaries work. You know, they put things out there for us
Yeah.
to see how we react to it. And if it does real good, you go, okay, now we can take it to step 2.
Right.
Now, it's conspiratorial. I get that, but sure does happen a lot. I think we're running out of conspiracies anyway.
I don't know. I think there's still a lot in the box.
Yeah, well, tomorrow there'll be a new one.
Right.
Back to what's going on and what we're losing here.
Yeah.
The construction trades and skills. Oh, my gosh. Nobody wants to go into the construction trade because that's, you know, it's a dirty, hard, nasty job and nobody wants to do it anymore. And you go, but we need that. Schools are definitely not teaching it. Colleges are definitely not teaching it. Community colleges, which were set up, a lot of them were set up to do that. Agricultural schools have just about gone away. They've all gone the way of high-tech agriculture, big ag. You know, it's a chemical industry. It's not agriculture. It's a chemical industry. So those kind of things coming back to construction, it's hard to find anybody that'll do the work.
Right.
The smaller the job, the less likely you'll have somebody come do it. Even on a larger commercial side, which I'm into, they're having a hard time getting subcontractors. Wow. You know, concrete guys. Holy cow, man! Some of the concrete guys that come out, you go, do you have any English-speaking people on your crew? You know, no, I'm not bashing the Mexican people.
No.
They're out there working. God bless them.
Yeah,
you know?
they're hard-working people.
Yeah, because where's everybody else that lives here should be out there working for those kind of jobs. And,
Right.
and one good thing that comes out of that is the pay has increased. Just as a heads up, people,
Yeah.
construction pays a little better than probably the job that you're on, but you're going to have to sweat and you're going to have to work.
Yeah.
And it's not even as hard as it used to be. There is trades out there. Your boss, if you're a good worker, show up every day, he will fall over backwards. He will give you a new truck to drive.
Right.
He will do everything he can to keep you satisfied because you're the only one he's got.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we've lost something here.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to come back. It's hard to find any contractor that actually mentors his employees, because it's just so much needs to be done hands-on.
Yeah.
It's time-consuming, but you better do it. And you better pay the guy well. If you're going to invest that kind of time and effort to it, you better pay him well, because he will walk for $1 more an hour.
Sure.
And if you don't think that people don't steal good employees off another job, you're mistaken there too. They will steal a good employee in a heartbeat because there's so few of them.
There's so few.
Last one I got is education and colleges. Crap. We don't teach kids hardly anything that they need to survive in the real world. I mean, the subject matter and DEI stuff, we have all been through that. We've all heard about it. But daggone it, it's still going on.
Yeah.
Now, there are some governors that said, this crap has got to go.
Yeah, the phones aren't coming into the classroom, and we're going to cut away the DEI stuff. And
yes. Reading, writing, arithmetic.
Yes,
you know?
absolutely.
How about we get that part right from elementary school, folks?
And can I say something about the phones just real quick?
Yeah.
If you pull the phones and put them in a box and make them sit there until they get out of school, sooner or later they're going to come off the withdrawal, and they're going to start to socialize again.
Oh, that's a whole nother issue, isn't it?
I mean, they will be forced to begin to socialize, because right now, I think if you're an employer, you've got to have a human resource person on the ball with the way people are now. I mean, they got their nose in their phone. They have no social skills.
Right.
I mean, I was recently at a place that I was surprised and disappointed at the same time. Big company, but the one guy was literally had his phone at the register, watching a movie, and it was still going while I was trying to talk to him.
Right.
Finally, he put it on pause because he didn't want to miss anything, and I didn't want him to miss anything and put the wrong thing in.
Wrong decimal point.
You know. And then somebody else in this big, it was a building supply place. You know, the guy that got the stuff down from the cantilever and you know, I had to get it down. And the guy told me, that had the movie playing, he said, you're going to have to wait 45 minutes to an hour and a half before he can get that down. We're down to one guy that can run the machine today, the little forklift.
Good gosh.
And he says, you might as well sit down. Well, it didn't take that long. It took 20 minutes, which is about right, because they have to be careful, safety belt, that whole thing. But he, the young man that brought it to the truck, the materials, my flooring, was just, and had a helper, and they helped me load it. They were Johnny on the spot. You know, so I was surprised and disappointed at the same time.
Right.
And, you know, in all honesty, you don't want that kind of person running your forklift that's, you know, looking at his phone, because he's liable to keel over and kill somebody.
I've had to fire several employees.
Yeah.
You put somebody up in the air, swinging a crane around.
Right.
It's all hands on deck.
Yes.
Everybody is in charge of everybody's safety.
Yes.
You know, you have one guy that's in control of that crane.
Yeah.
You can't have people talking. You need to have as many eyes watching for hazards as you possibly can. And you look over, and the guy that you think is your ground man is on the phone.
Right.
You are done at that instant.
Yeah.
And it's happened.
Because just the flick of it's a joystick inside that machine.
Absolutely.
A little flick of that joystick the wrong way, you will kill somebody in a second. in a
It's
second.
and it's that's just one example out of all the dangerous things in construction. You know,
Right.
I don't care if you're just a framer standing walls up. You know,
Yep.
if you got somebody that's has snuck off, you can't lift that wall. It takes 3 guys to lift a 20-foot section of wall. He's snuck off somewhere and texting something that means nothing.
Right.
And you tell him that phone is about to get you fired. I want you to put that in a truck. You can't tell me to do that, but I can tell you to get off my job. See you later. Bye. I hate doing that,
Yeah.
but I can't have that. We're in business to operate in a business to profit, and profits is where your raises come from, folks.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I don't tell them it comes from just out of the blue because you've been there for 10 years.
Right.
It comes because you've made extra money for the company in the profit margin end.
Yeah.
And if you don't make sure that profit margin is there, I won't make sure you don't get a raise. That's just plain and simple.
Sure.
Anyway, that's enough of complaining about construction, but we were talking about the education in colleges.
Yeah.
Everybody knows, and it's been all through the news, of what these Ivy League colleges have done and the kind of people that they're producing out. They're really not getting educated. They're getting programmed. And if you're the parent paying for that, you better yank your money out of there,
You're paying a lot of
because
money.
the child that comes home on Thanksgiving is not going to be the child that you sent to college.
Yeah.
And you're probably not going to like him, just like your friends. You can't put family on pause.
Right.
You're stuck with them, you know, but you're not stuck with paying that bill.
Right.
So, you know, there's a little leverage there.
Yeah.
But we're all in this same position here. So I complained a whole lot about all that whole list. And let me just read what I've talked about so far.
Okay.
The water is controlled. The global food supply is controlled. Our medicine and health care, just general knowledge itself is on a phone that someone else controls.
Right.
There's no real news to do any planning because somebody has taken that over and it's become a political battle and over the algorithms and all that good stuff. Construction trades is all to pieces. And our education and college system has been hijacked. They're all under the control of either a large corporation or governmental control. Did you hear what I just said? That's socialism, folks.
Yeah.
That is socialism. When they control your water, your food, your medicine, your schooling, all the trades, all your jobs, that's socialism.
Yeah.
We're that close on the precipice of being a socialist country. We're just on the edge of it. And yet it's crept up on us like a pan of hot water to a frog.
Yeah.
This is how close we are. The only thing that stops it in its tracks is the fact that we're still a nation that has a Second Amendment.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. And that puts fear.
And that puts a fear of God in them. So, Lord, I hope we don't lose that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there'd be no turning back if they go a little crazier, because we're right on the edge of it.
Right. And if you're following, I think it's Indianapolis and New York City's mayoral,
Right.
they're self-professed socialists. Some say they're communists.
They're
And probably both going to win those cities.
They used to drag you into Congress and accuse you of being a socialist. Now they get on the evening news and say, I am a socialist. What a difference.
Yeah, what a difference.
That used to be a bad thing to be in this country, and now they praise it.
Yeah.
Well, that's enough of that. Let's get back to all the things that are under control and what you could do about them.
Okay.
Having a backup plan for your water. If crap hits the fan or natural or man-made, having a backup plan for water. If you don't have your own well, you might want to store up a bunch of water. anything that would happen that would collapse our society or just your town for a week or more. Remember, you can't get water. If something natural disaster would happen that would really mess things up, and you're out of water, you're out of water. You can't be out of water. You got about 3 days to find a new supply. So is everybody else. So you think that our government can react fast enough to fix that?
No.
I mean, there's a lot of places that make bottled water, but that's logistic stuff to get it all in.
Right.
They can't handle a big forest fire, much less a natural disaster where you've lost your water or power or whatever, and they tell you you're going to be out for a week or more.
And if you're in the wrong state, you know, your leader may be in another country enjoying themselves, which has happened. Look at L.A. That mayor flew into L.A. during the fires because she was out in Guatemala or wherever the hell she was.
Yep.
And they had to put her in a side room because the media wanted to know why were you away during this time? And she swore if she got put in as mayor because she was a former congresswoman, I'm not going to do these junket trips.
Right.
She was on a junket trip.
Jeez.
And she still remains mayor. As a matter of fact, we've gone through the second thing when they had all those riots out there.
Yeah, she booked on that one too.
And if you have the wrong leadership in your city and your state, buddy, at least we've got some sane people. We'll know in November whether we're going to jump the shark or not.
Right.
You better go out and vote. I'm not even going to tell you how to vote. I think you know how to vote if you want your rights.
Yes.
Especially the Second Amendment.
There is a midterm coming up that if we don't choose this right and we don't really be the country that we should be, we'll lose it.
Yeah.
That's a fact. We'll lose it all.
Yeah.
You know, they thought the Republicans were going to come in and really just lop off heads, but we really didn't. You know, we're not kind of like that.
Right.
You know, we realize that people are different and we want to try to work with them. But if you did something illegal, yes, you should go to jail, but we're going to do it the right way and all that kind of. That is not how the other side thinks.
Nope.
They don't have to have evidence. They can make it up.
Yeah, they can make it up, and
that's a horrible thing to say. And I'm not pointing to any current cases or anyone in government. I'm just saying I see how you're doing this.
Yeah,
it's obvious how you're doing this. At any rate, we need to be just a little more vigilant and a little more prepared. And the only way you're going to do this is do it on your own or with your community or with your family. We are just not at a good place. So you need to be a little more prepared because it used to be crap's going to hit the fan. One of these days, crap's going to hit the fan. Well, look around. Crap is hitting the fan. It's just not devastating yet. But the potential is way over the top.
Yeah.
Way more than it used to be. And I think we've become numb to how many things are threatening this country, threatening your family, threatening your kids. I really thought this DEI stuff would blow up and parents would just go nuts and probably beat the crap out of some school administrator when they find out these kind of books were in there for their children. Elementary school children had this crap in their schools.
Yeah.
Good thing my kids are grown. That's all I know. I was furious, and I don't even have kids in school anymore.
Right.
At any rate, being prepared.
Yeah.
Your global food supply, that's a big deal. You know, we all hear the adage, buy local. Well, you better start growing local. Buying local is not necessarily what you think. Local could be the state of Virginia or North Carolina. At least it's not coming from China or Venezuela or, how about we just start there? the quality of the food is much better if you buy stuff that is truly local grown. But you got to know the people.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing that I found out. You know, a lot of people will buy from some Amish groups.
Right.
They use Miracle Grow like a madman.
Really?
So it's
not aware of that.
You have to know who you're dealing with
Right.
when you buy local, because they could be just as money hungry as the next guy. But there are good people out there, and a lot of good Amish are growing really good produce, and they do excellent quality work. And we need to look at what they're doing, and probably should copy most of it.
Right.
I say most of it now, folks, but there you are. Medicines and healthcare. You might want to look into the herbal thing, or finding an alternative to all these drugs. We're taking too many pills. Quit popping so many pills. It's messing people's guts up. There's so much stuff that you could do herbally that you really don't need the medicine for. Now, I'm not telling you to take all this stuff without checking with your doctor. If you got a heart problem, that's not what I'm talking about. You should always consult your doctor if you have a good one. If he talks to you, if he has a good communicating doctor. I'm not bashing them all. They're very educated people, but they don't know it all. You know, they know a lot, but they don't know it all. So get yourself an alternative there. Healthcare, the industry, you're not going to be able to do much about that. It's always going to be kind of disappointing about 90% of the time, unless you find that 1 in a million doctor that really gives a hoot. You know, there's just as good of herbal doctors out there, and you can't call them doctors. They just call them herbalists.
Oh, okay.
Even though that they are far more educated in nutrition than
right.
Your
average
that's
doctor.
a whole nother that's a whole nother bailiwick for these people that are helping people, and yet if they get caught, they're in trouble, and it makes no sense. Getting your skills back together is it that you should have, especially just fixing things. Buy a book. We talked about this last week. If you don't know how to fix the plumbing in your house, pay $10 and get a book on basic plumbing, basic electrical, basic plumbing, basic carpentry, all the basics. At least you will be able to speak intelligently, and you probably could find somebody that says, yeah, I know a little bit more than that. I could probably help you get that done. If you don't, you're going to pay through the nose, and it may be a guy that's going to charge you so much and send a Mexican helper out. That irks me when when I hire a plumber, I expect the plumber to come out. It's not what happens nowadays. There's not enough of them, so they'll hire a laborer who knows just enough to be dangerous and sends him out. Now, whether you can speak English to him or not, it's a whole nother subject. Education. Please investigate the colleges you're sending your kids to. Please be more involved in your child's education at a local level, at the elementary, middle school, high school.
Because those are building
Find
a
out
foundation.
what programs these schools are putting your kids into. You want to know. And ask your kids. You're going to have to talk to them. You may have to drag it out of a teenager, but have a heart-to-heart. Say, look here, I'm trying to protect you.
Right.
And this is what I want to know. And if not, I'm canceling your phone. You'll have their attention immediately.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know if parents have the savvy to monitor their children's phone usage, but it should be monitored, controlled, and limited.
Yeah.
You can, and it's been said a lot.
Honestly, you can ask your phone provider to help you with that.
I would highly suggest it. There is predators
if it's
everywhere.
T-Mobile or whoever.
Yeah.
You know, I just need some blocks on my And my daughter-in-law limits the amount of time. His will shut down. His iPad will shut down after a certain amount of time.
And then you hear it slam against the wall because he's out of control. Yeah. Don't quit depending on your phone so much.
Yeah.
We talked about phone numbers. You might want to put a few emergency phone numbers in your wallet.
Yes.
That would be pretty smart.
Yeah.
We tend to just forget about that because our phone is always in our hand.
Right.
Lay it down sometimes. You'd be surprised how peaceful it is. That's about all I'm going to bash on the phone
all right,
for today.
Well, Glenn, thank you. We appreciate it. And,
Thank you.
We hope you're taking notes. That's the beauty of the podcast, at least for now, is you can rewind it. You find the spot. Just maybe make a note at 38 minutes. He said this. I want to go back on that. Or hit pause and just take some notes or whatever. But we certainly do appreciate it. If you do have any questions, you can text us 434-248-0704. That is the text line to get Glenn a question, or go to Facebook and type in Sustainable Living Made Easy.
Yep.
And a couple of ways to get a hold of us. Until next time, we'll see you.
Thank you.
Join us again next week for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, helping you be prepared and not scared. This podcast drops every Friday anywhere you get your podcast.